welcome to the National Childcare Owners Childcare Chats. We are here today celebrating leading men in childcare, and I am so happy and thrilled to have a great panel joining us today. So, welcome, 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 guys. How you doing? All right. So, I don't know about you guys, but children need men in childcare. This is the cry that we hear that is most common in any kind of involvement when it comes to the overall success of the family. So, as it comes to strengthening childcare business practices, men are needed. We need fathers, we need leaders, we need people that's going to come to the table. And we know that the childcare industry is often female dominated, but men are a part of this. We need you guys as far as being a vital partner, whether that's in leadership or even teacher leaders inside of the classroom, but also within the organization, other areas of the organization as well. So thank you for joining me. I know that you guys got some exciting information to share with us today about major men in childcare. So without further ado, I just want to welcome Dr. Michael Ingram to our panel, Mr. Cleveland Howard, Mr. James Frazier, and Mr. Brian Dupre. So thank you guys for joining us today on the Childcare Chats. All right, let's see here.
Thank you.
All right. So I'm gonna just go around. You guys can do a brief introduction. Just a little bit about yourself. We'll start with you, Dr. Michael Ingram.
Well, just call me Michael. um, so I'm Michael Ingram from Cleveland, Ohio. So we have a childcare center here. We're licensed for 96, and we have a unique take on that. We also work with special needs children. We like to call them special rights children. That's what the Italian call them. And so we have about 56 students from 18 months through 5 years old, and 40 of them get services, either one or all of the services, meaning OT, speech, behavioral, and some of our students even get ABA therapy. So we do that all in-house at our building, as well as I have an automotive shop that we work on buses for childcare centers in and around the Cleveland area, but we'll come visit anyone. So if you have a bus, you need your bus needs, come and see us. And then our new jewel in our crown is that we were picked in the state of Ohio to open up a special needs, special rights childcare center, only 6 in the state, and we were picked. And so that is our new venture that we will be moving into.
Wow, to be chosen to lead that's astonishing. So kudos to you for pulling that off. Great leadership. Much. Let us know how that goes. We definitely want to be a part of that and make sure to support you in that endeavor, Michael. We'll go to Mr. Cleveland Howard. How are you today?
Good. How's everyone doing today? Name is Cleveland Howard. We in the eastern North Carolina area. We call ourselves the Sunshine Schools. We have a total of 3 schools. So we uh, specialize in Spanish and baby sign language, even though we offer creative curriculum. But when kids graduate from our program, that's something that we demonstrate to the parents how the kids can do these things when they do graduate. So we've been in the business less than 5 years, but we've grown really fast and love the kids. Between the one school is licensed for 99. The second school has 2 shifts, and each shift is licensed for 182. And we have a drop-in daycare that ranges from anywhere from 25 to 100 kids a day. So we stay pretty busy managing these schools and making sure the kids are taught everything that we can teach them.
Absolutely, absolutely. So thank you. Hats off to you.
Thank
Next is Mr. James Frazier. How are you doing today?
All right, good afternoon. I had to switch my from my computer to my phone because having technical difficulties over this computer. But I'm James Frazier out of New York. My daycare is called Tots to Teens Daycare, and
Mm,
we've been in business for 6 years. But I'm actually a second generation daycare owner. My mom was a daycare owner for about 30 plus years. You know, she
mhm,
had the small in-house daycare when I was a kid. Then she got a 5,000 square foot facility as she grew, and then we went from a 5,000 square foot facility to a 10,000 square foot facility where we had over 160 kids. So I basically been in the business, worker in the business, been around the business for about those many years, as long as she's been in businesses. So what I did, I decided to, just take on. I had my mom start me a small daycare, and I took on that, and just wanted to further, just further the legacy. Being a second generation daycare owner in our family, because I went to school for business, and I tried other businesses. I tried no knocking other businesses, but I tried the MLMs. I'm a chef by trade, so I had a restaurant. I've had a CD and DVD store, but nothing's like the childcare businesses because you're able to touch young people, on through seeing them go on to college and then later on coming back as alumni. So a lot of the kids that we had when my mom was in daycare that I knew growing up, I see them now and they remember the daycare from back in the day when we were, coming out of the house and going to the 5,000 square foot facility and also the 10,000. So you got to think that we've touched in the matter of all those years, probably a couple thousand children. So it's a wonderful thing to see the fruits of your labor come back and support and help you out. And that's what I'm just trying to do here. And then I plan on getting my things together because I'm really about business and about credit and all these different things. So I want to expand from out of New York and then maybe take it south or wherever, Midwest, because I have family in Detroit, I have family in North Carolina, and I have family in Atlanta. So who knows what the route, what it'll take you next. So that's about it.
Absolutely, absolutely. So you're hot over there, James. You're doing a lot of great things. I'm glad you touched on a few points that we're actually going to discuss about today. So we're going to pass it over to Brian Dupre to give us just a brief introduction, and we're going to jump right into some of these questions.
Good morning. Glad to be with some other men. I'm not used to being with men in a conference here, so awesome. And a good-looking group of men too. Man, I feel privileged to be with you guys. So I am Brian Dupre. My wife and Carol and I own a child care center chain up here in Maine. So we're up in the Northeast. We've opened 10 schools in the last 25 years. And a couple years ago, we were very successful in our business. So I wrote a book called Childcare Millionaire that was a big hit. It's the number one childcare book ever written. And never thought it'd be that popular, but I wanted to write a book that to go through all the struggles that I went to early on. As you know, guys, it's hard when you first start out and you really don't know a whole lot about, you might know something about business, but you don't know anything about the childcare business, a whole different animal. And in the book, we compile a list of things that to avoid the mistakes that we made early on. And then since then, I've gone on and written with my wife four more books. We've got five books in print now, and we run a company called Childcare Genius. And we are a coaching company. We coach childcare leaders around the world. I used to work for the Childcare Success Company, and I was a coach for them. And I've coached clients in probably 13 or 14 countries all over the world how to be more profitable in their childcare business. And it's usually profit is a bad word in childcare to a lot of people. But it isn't, and it shouldn't be. It could be a very lucrative business. And, money is no respecter of persons. And, if you do good things with your money, it doesn't matter how much money you make if you pour it back in. We've given over $1 million in scholarships. We do a lot with the money that we get in and give back to the community. But sometimes people just don't see that. So childcaregenius.com is our website. And thank you so much for having me here today.
Thank you so much, Brian. I look, we getting ready to get into some of the meat and potatoes. I love what you guys are doing. So I want to make sure that you guys have the opportunity to tell us a little bit more in relationship to these questions. Thank you for also joining us, Executive Todd Harris, who again, he's the Executive Director of the National Childcare Owners Association. So he will also be joining us on this conversation. So how you doing, Todd?
How you doing? We also have our president, Raymond Maxwell. He's on as well. So, how you doing, Ray? Thank you, panelists, for participating in this childcare chat. This is something that we've been doing since the first of the year. I believe this is our sixth or seventh childcare chat, and I want to, personally extend that thank you to you all for participating. Um, we're men, we're in childcare. There's definitely a stigma for men, being in childcare. So my leading question to you is, what is your true motivation for remaining in this business? What's your true motivation? Is it money? Is it impact? Is it, what is it? So, for me, it's impact, but it's for each individual is something different. So what is the reason why you're remaining in this business?
I guess I can start it off. For me, it's impact. When I go to each school during the day, just the response and the smiles and the hugs and the how you doing, Mr. Cleveland, during the day, that makes me feel good. All my kids are grown, but just to be able to touch these young lives makes a big difference. So hoping that, and they react different to men than they do women. So when I go in, it's a whole different atmosphere when I walk in the room. So that makes me feel good that I'm doing something right.
Great, great. Michael?
Did you say Michael? Yeah. So, much like James, I am a legacy owner too. My mom started the business 48 years ago. I thought I was coming for one summer. Now it's been 22 years. Why do I do it? I do it because I think it's important in the demographic that I serve. There's not a lot of males in the home. And so to see the five at my facility that can help shape the lives of the students is amazing. And the crown jewel, the bigger piece is I have five men in my building. Three of them look like my current students in the building, so that's super important to me. And one actually was a former student, and now he's come back and is in our 3-year-old classroom. And so he works here and gets to shape the lives of the children every single day. So that's why I do it. And also it's afforded me a beautiful lifestyle. Like Brian said, profit is not a dirty word, and we should make tons of money because we're doing amazing work. And it's given me a beautiful life, and it allowed me to do amazing things with my life too.
Brian?
I got to tell you, I started out on the money side, um, because my wife really started the childcare business, and I just followed later on once the money started getting good, and then I saw the impact we're making, and whenever I walked into a classroom, like Michael was saying, that the kids would just gravitate to me, and realized that a lot of them didn't have dads, and they were looking for that male figure. And to be honest, we didn't hire men in our childcare center for the first 15 years because of the stigma attached to it. And, I'm guilty of that bias. And until, my daughter came to me and said, Dad, you got to trust me on this. We got a guy that applied and he's really good. And we hired him. And I tell you, he's one of the best workers we ever had. And the kids just absolutely loved him. And sometimes we have bias. We don't, our own we get in our own head sometimes that we look for boogeyman around every corner, and we try to think of what parents might think. Why is a guy teaching kindergarten? Kindergarten, he must be a pedophile. That's what our parents are thinking sometimes, and we have to change that perception and mindset. Just like women had to change that perception of being firefighters and policemen and things like that. So we had to change that in our industry as well. And we are making a huge impact. And we've had, I think, 800 or 900 employees over the last 25 years. And, those people are stepping stones. Some of them became childcare center owners and very successful. Some became doctors. And then on the kids side, we have teachers working for us, like Michael, that used to be in our care, and to have that second generation come in is just amazing. And my children all attended my centers, and now 4 of the 5 work for us in some capacity. So I just love that next generation, that impact you're making, and seeing the difference you make in a community. There's nothing like this industry for impact, and I absolutely love it.
You all have really said some great things. Michael has 5 men currently working in this center. I mean, that's amazing in itself. And then the same for you, Brian. I mean, you all, that is great. So I'm going to give James the opportunity to answer that question. James, so what is it for you? What's that motivating factor for you to remain in this business?
I could say I'm also like Brian because when I've started out, I originally was about the money because going through failed businesses, I was looking at all around me and I see my mother, which was always successful in her childcare business. So I said, oh, that must be, I've done network marketing. I've done the CD and DVD store. I've done the restaurant. The only thing that's still standing through all this time, test of time, was daycare and childcare in the childcare industry. So I said, you know what, this must be industry. But when I got into it, like Brian also said, it's a rough situation because, there's not too many men that when I started and, well, we're coming out now, but in the industry. So we're perceived differently. There's more when you go to the workshops and things in the town, there's more women, that are the daycare owners. And being like he also said and I had to change the stigma too, because when I'm also an owner or in the daycare, being in the classroom, a lot of like you said, you get a perception of why is this man in my toddler's classroom? Why is this man opening up the daycare? Where's the lady at? So I had to show that I do also know how to take care of kids. I care for kids. I have my own kids. I have 3. So I'm a father, and I'm more of I have girls. I'm a girl father, so it's more. I feel that a lot of people perceive men differently, and I want to change that stigma and impact a lot of people and impact a lot of kids, because like he said also, there's a lot of kids that are coming from single families, so the father's not present. It's the mother that's always bringing
Okay.
them here, the mother that's doing everything, but the father's not present. So I want to change that
Okay.
stigma and impact.
That's a great response, James. I really appreciate that response. Brian, I do have a question for you. Do you, now that you're in an executive training capacity, what types of activities do you deploy or employ with your employees for conflict resolution? Because oftentimes what I find myself as being the mediator in a situation where, because we have mostly women working in our facility, so I find myself as being the mediator a lot of the times and a problem solver. So what types of activities or things do you employ for conflict resolution within your business?
Yeah, you probably picked the wrong guy to come to this question with, because my wife and I have different lanes of the business. I'm on the financial side. I don't handle any of the conflict stuff. That's her deal. She deals with the employees, and it worked well. Having 65 female employees and a couple. I think we have 1 or 2 male employees as well. Having that much diversity, I knew best. It would be better off if I don't have the interaction with the staff. It just kept more of a hands-off approach. It kept things on the up and up. And my wife deals with the staff. I deal with the finances and the money. And I've been out of the business mostly for the last couple of years, coaching clients around the world. So sorry, bro, not the best person to ask. I can tell you about conflict resolution with my wife. She's right on the daycare side. I'm right on the financial side, and there you go. That's the conflict resolution.
Okay, that's an honest answer. Mike, would you like to offer any input on that?
Sure. So at my school, we use a lot of conscious discipline. I use that with the adults. And one thing that I tell my teachers, male, female, assistant, cook, anyone, it's Q-tip, quit taking it personal, because it's not that big of a deal, actually. You're mad because she looked at you wrong. Keep it moving. Q-tip is what I have listed throughout the center. I tell that at my staff meeting and whatnot. And usually it's not things that are super serious, and they can really get past them. And there's enough to do at my center that, not to be hung up on those small things.
That's a great response. I like Q-tip. Quit taking it personal. I mean, that's interesting. Mr. Howard, what do you think about that question?
Uh, I guess I'm like Brian, but when I do talk to him, I use the same philosophy. Quit taking it personal, but then when I do talk to him, I try to find out what's the problem. What are you really upset about, or what is the bigger issue here, and just talk to them through that issue, and say, hey, it's the problem is not as big as you think it is. If you just, like you say, quit taking it personal, and you are here to teach the kids, not to have some type of conflict between each other.
All right, Mr. Ray, you want to ask him a question, President?
Oh no, I'm listening. If I can add on to what they're saying, because just like all the men that's on this panel, my wife and I own several daycares ourselves, and I think that having a male presence is welcome and is needed, because a lot of times, w- not all women, but sometimes women get emotional, and sometimes they let their emotion get the best of them. So I think that male energy, once it steps into the room, it helps calm the situation, and we're more logical, so we can better deal with conflict resolution. I took a lot of conflict resolution classes, so I'm well diverse with conflict resolution. And I think uh, when men approach it, they approach it without feelings involved, and that makes it an easier situation to deal with. I just wanted to add that.
No, good answer. Good answer. What about you, Asia?
I'm laughing because it's true. It really is. There are dire moments in the center that I absolutely need my husband, a male presence, somebody that has a different perspective to come in and set the tone. When my staff, they take direction coming from me totally different as if it was coming from my husband. It's just like we go back and forth, knack 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 knack, or once my husband enters into the conversation, there is a sense of calm, there is a sense of relief, like, oh, he's actually listening to me. He doesn't have a bias. It's not a biased conversation. We're not friends. Oh, it just really brings a sense of calm. So what President Maxwell is saying is really true. We experience that on a daily basis about my dynamic versus his dynamic to lead the child care centers. And when he's there, it's a lot calmer. The children may be calmer. The parents are actually more receptive to him than they are to me whenever they see me coming. Maybe it's because I deal more so with the financial aspect. He more so deals with nurturing that relationship when it comes to the family entity, that family engagement. So he does a very good job with that, and we work it together as a team. So that's my standpoint on it. But everything that everybody said, it's true. I love the quit taking it personal thing, because it just seems like now more than ever, everyone's taking every single thing personal.
Now we're about to get into the weeds now, gentlemen. I want to ask a question, and it has something to do with the overall aspect of child care management from a state to state perspective. A lot of states that a lot of child care owners, a good bit of them are, they are sustainable. They have a sustainable model, meaning they have a lot of cash paying parents. What in your state, the subsidy program, do you use subsidy? Or do you have children who attend your facility that are subsidized children? If so, um, how is your relationship, or how are they? What can you tell me? Is there a difference in how the childcare subsidy program is run in your state versus how your cash paying parents? How you transact business with your cash paying parents. Is that something that you even deal with? Cleveland.
Yes, we do have subsidy kids at all, well, at two of our centers. Uh, it is a little bit different than the cash paying because for our subsidy kids, we only receive payment once a month from the state. So basically, the care for the kids is done before we even get paid for the care. So it's a little bit different. It was a little bit awkward initially, but we do work through that and work through the parents to ensure that their kids are in attendance because that's a major part. The kids have to be enrolled in the program and have to come every day in order for us to get paid. And also, there is a parent fee, but for the last 6 months, the state has been paying the complete fee. So basically, just working with the parents and interacting with them to ensure that their kids come every day.
Okay, that's good. Michael, I'm sorry, not Michael. Brian.
Thank you. We're one of the few centers in our state that have no restriction. We'll take subsidy, we will take cash. That doesn't matter. We don't restrict or discriminate, and our state pays very well on the subsidy side. And we get paid actually before the care is done. We got paid on the Friday before the care. Very few states probably have that. And we do about 1.5 million a year, I think, with the state of Maine. And we just make sure that we don't treat the kids any different. We don't treat the parents any different. It's no different. We don't see much difference as far as behavior with that. They blend in very well. Um, we've just never had a problem. I have had clients that have had issues on the subsidy side. And they just refuse to accept it. I said, but every child deserves a good education, and I wish all the states would have as good as ours as far as a payment system. But we've never not taken it. We've always taken it since day one.
Jane.
Well, we're pretty different in New York here. I wish I could be in the state where Brian is at, where they pay you before the child care because we get paid on the back end. We have to submit a voucher of all the attendance for the previous month, submit a attendance, everything, and make sure everything is right to the T. Submit it, and then we wait 15 days for that check for the previous month to come in. So we do take cash paying, we take subsidy. I really I would love more cash paying parents, but subsidy is good too because it's also that money I really just basically put it into the account. I don't touch that money. That money takes care of taxes, and because half of our centers have cash paying, half subsidy. So the money that we get from subsidy, we really put it into the account, emergency fund, taxes, other expenses that get paid with that. We pay more of the payroll through the cash paying parents, but we do both.
Great, great, great. Asia.
Here in Kentucky, it's basically the same way. We have a certificate that we have to get the parent's signature on. We agree to the pricing that is on the sheet, whether or not the parent is responsible for copays, overage charge, which is the difference between your market rate versus what the state pays. Some parents, they have another voucher on top of it that their employer might kick in, additional funds. But we do take subsidized children. Once we take in the certificate, of course, we have to go the entire month, do billing the next month, and it sometimes it will take up to 20 days to get that money to us. And it can throw off a thing called cash flow, which is crucial in the childcare operations. And it's a struggle. So I think I think most of the states are kind of set up in that reimbursement model. You give the service, then they have to submit payment after the fact. I think in Michigan they do something where they actually have it's weekly, but here in Kentucky it's monthly and it's a reimbursement model. I do want to kick it over to the chat, Executive Todd, Todd. There is a question in the chat. It looks like it's from Mary. She said, "Are your reimbursements as much as your private pay families?" Here in Kentucky, it has to be. So there cannot be any discrimination between subsidized parents versus private pay parents. So the price is the price. So if it's $250 for an infant for a weekly amount, it's the same way for both sets of families. Again, it just depends on who's paying the tuition, because each family is different. Some may have a dependent FSA that they come in, swipe their card. Some use all of the state funds, so they have an overage charge that they have to pay. So it's particular. So every family is different here in Kentucky, but the price is the price.
What about in
Does
your
it?
state?
In my state, well, in my state, my business model is a little bit different in the fact that I'm about 98% publicly funded, and I would prefer publicly funded because I'm able to layer funds. So Brian will like this, that I try not to leave any money on the table. And I also try to have more than one funding source per child. So publicly funded, Head Start, and then if there's a UPK option. So that just blows it out of the water. That seat is goes from what the state might pay at $250, like Asia said in her state, to $450 with that additional layered funding. But you have to watch, some states don't allow you to have layered funding. Much like Asia said, in Ohio, you have to charge the same amount, but I do give my private pay parents a discount because I would give the state the discount if they paid early, but they don't pay early as well. So that's how I get around that. And my market doesn't really allow, my private pay parents are not making hundreds of thousands of dollars. They're just below the 145th percentile in the state of Ohio, or above, I'm sorry. So it's really hard for them to pay the full rate, since I am highly rated in my state with the star rating system.
Is there any curriculum that you favor one over another? And the reason I ask that question is because it's just my personal opinion that pre-K education can sometimes slow down the development of a child. And I kind of push the envelope where that's concerned in our programs. So our programs, most of our children can, when they leave us, they can really skip kindergarten and go to the first, second grade in our program. But that's not something that I see as something that's a common thing. So is there a particular curriculum or your teaching philosophy? What do you like to see for those individuals who are actually involved in the development of the child care curriculum? What do you see as a good curriculum, and why? Brian.
Yeah, I'll go first here. So a couple years ago, well, not a couple years ago, probably 15 years ago, I realized that curriculum could be an expense, and I saw the financial side. It gets expensive buying curriculum year after year. So I said, why don't I just take two of my top teachers and take a year and develop my own? And that's what we did. I bit the bullet and paid them extra to develop our own curriculum. It's proprietary. It's called Advanced Beginnings, ABC. And we followed the main early childhood learning results, which is a set of guidelines the state put out, and we followed it letter for letter. And it became a model for our licensing inspector who loved our curriculum, and she told a lot of other people about it. But we don't sell it; it's just ours, and that way we can control it, and it's top notch. I think it's the best in our entire state. Maybe I should sell it, but too much work. But we like to be able to have it, and our kids, like you said, can go on to first, second grade, and we have had many students get it's gifted, it's just busted out right through it. So thank you.
Brian, I have a follow up question. How much money did that add back to your bottom line by implementing your own proprietary curriculum?
I don't remember what we were spending because I think it was about 15 years ago we developed it, but um, I can't even remember what that number was. I mean, I could barely remember what I had for breakfast this morning. 55 years old here. So, but the other guys could probably tell you what their curriculum costs if they're buying it. I know I probably have saved thousands and tens of thousands over the last 15 years of not having to keep rebuying curriculum.
Okay. James?
We stick more towards the creative curriculum, which is the universal pre-K curriculum that we have in our district. And most of our kids, we start from as early as 3 years. So a lot of them end up going, it's basically reiterating what's going on. So once they get to, kindergarten, pre-K, they've already done it, monotonously. So we stick to the creative curriculum and it works for us.
Michael?
So we also use creative curriculum. To be honest with you, I'm less interested in the ABCs 1, 2, 3s at my facility, and the social emotional is huge for me, because most of my kids, like you said, they were able to sit for a kindergarten test, but the things that they could not pass were the social emotional. They weren't able to sit next to each other and not hit Asia because she has the red crayon, but they could count to 100, and so we really do focus really on that social emotional piece. That's why we're so blessed to have OT speech in our building that just helps us with having that additional support, so when they go to kindergarten they're fully emerged in what it is to be a positive 6 and 7 year old.
That's great. That's great. Mr. Cleveland?
Uh, we also use creative curriculum, but we also, like I was saying earlier, focus on Spanish and sign language. And this year we're looking at adding STEM into the program so they could do more math and science. So that way, when they do go to kindergarten, they are really ahead of that. And just like you were saying, Todd, they could skip that because they already ahead of the game with what they are learning within our pre-K program.
Okay, thanks. Michael, because your program is geared toward, I said special needs, and I think you said, what's the term that you use? I want to be sensitive to the term that you use.
I just use special rights. That's what the Italian call it, because it's their right to have all of those things that they're getting. And so, I mean, special needs is okay to use. I just think when you think about the term special rights, it's just a lot more encompassing of all the things that they deserve.
So when you working with your special rights children, and for other people, special needs children, what type of wraparound services do you see is missing, and how would you best implement or best identify those wraparound services that you see that is missing for this demographic of children?
I just think the demographic of students as well as staff that I have, they just want to be heard. So, if they have just that one-on-one where they get to come out of the classroom and have speech with someone for an hour a week, or they get to have OT and go outside with the OT therapist and do an obstacle course, just that one-on-one connection. I think the wraparound that I think would be most helpful would be to teach parents how to be involved in like play-based therapy. So showing parents how to interact with their son or daughter so they can have meaningful experiences. I often see parents who come in and say like, well, he put on 2 different socks today. And I'm like, does he know the colors? And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, well, that's great. He said he wanted to wear red. He said he wanted to wear green. He's super independent. So like just really teaching the parents about development. When you go to the doctor, you take the word of the doctor as almost the gospel, right? But as early care and education, when parents come in, they often don't take our word as the foremost on that. And so really just teaching them how to interact with their students would be the major wraparound that I see would really benefit.
Mr. Howard.
For the schools we don't have any special needs, but we do have one that does need some special attention. And I've noticed, and he's a male, and if I go in and hug him and play with him and encourage him, he has a better day. And he's not as vocal with the teachers, so it's more of a common thing. If when I go in and interact with him, because he's really needs that. And we tell the parents, how much improvement he's done, and they can see the improvement he's made since he's been in our program. So, but for just opening up, we don't really have a whole bunch of special need kids within our program.
Okay, Mr. Frazier.
We have two special needs kids in our program. We have one that they go to a program which is all-site program, which is they help them, with more of a one-on-one type of feel. And then they come back to our daycare center for basically half a day. So when they're here, it's more they I say command more of a one-on-one attention. More of a one-on-one attention. They just want to be, I guess, you know, talk to, you know, let you see that they're there. More of that than just letting them go run abroad. And I have no problem. I'm the one that usually is here whenever they get off the bus, or they come from their after school program. I'm here. I get them off the bus. I sit them down for snack, and then we play with dinosaurs or cars or whatever. They're really into colors and aligning things. Very smart. It's just that a lot of the social skills are not there. But that's how we deal with it. But I think what this is Michael said. Michael said they need more um, help having the parents interact with the child on their own, because a lot of them, they think everything stops at the daycare. They don't, after it leaves the daycare. I just see parents and put them in front of a tablet, sitting, giving them snacks, and that's it. It's no interaction. So more going home with more things to do with your child interactively. Then, because I ask some of them, sometimes I try to trip them up and say, "What did you do over the weekend? What did you do with such and such on the weekend?" And I don't really get too much interaction, so that tells me that there's not much interaction going home besides maybe mom is on the phone or whatever is going on, and not interaction with the child, but more interaction with the parent and different things to do would be a good thing to do.
Ray, President Maxwell.
Yeah, can you repeat the question?
What type of wraparound services do you see are missing for children that have special needs or special rights? Do you see any? Have you identified any and think they are critical to putting in within a program so that it'll be a successful program?
Yeah, in our program, we have quite a few special needs children in our program. And what our state does is they provide what's called like a wraparound, where like outside services, special needs services will come in and help work with the kids. They will take the kids to a designated room that we have and work with them one on one, and then bring the children back into the classroom and help direct them while they're interacting with the other kids. So, our state has different programs, and we work with quite a few outside services that comes to our center. So we work with them, and they have a special time to come in. But we do have a couple of rules for the outside services that come in. They have to wait until after 9 o'clock because they have to wait until all the parents are finished coming in, and they cannot come in during nap time because, like, during nap time, you can't disturb the other kids by pulling the kid out and working with them during nap time. So we have designated times for them to come in and work with the kids, but we have quite a few services provided by the city of Philadelphia that helps assist with all special need children.
Um, Now, by a show of hands, how many of you all have worked in the classroom as a male owner? Okay, so we got two that work in the classroom. All right. Now, this question is geared towards you.
Now, the amount of time don't count, right?
So this question is geared towards you. As a male who has participated in the classroom learning environment, what is the secret sauce to you capturing the children's attention? Is it just because you're a male, or is it what's the secret sauce? Because I know that when I see a man in a classroom, those children are glued to him. Like they're looking at every move that he makes. So what do you think is the secret sauce for a man being in the classroom and actually instructing?
Yeah. Is it okay if I go first?
You can go.
All right. Well, one thing that I do when I step into the classroom, I bring the energy, so I'm high energy with it. I jump up and down. You got to catch these kids' attention because they have a short attention span. So as long as you keep them engaged, then you control the situation. So I come in and I'm real loud and I'm real energetic. And, I go over the days of the week, the ABCs. Like, your energy can control the room, because it was one time where we had this new teacher and she couldn't control the kids. The kids running around, like daddy daycare when he first started. So I came in. So I came in and I brought the energy and I got the kids' attention. I was like, come on, kids, everybody sit down. I got something special for you. Sit down. And when you bring that energy, all the kids came and sat down, and she didn't understand what was going on, but it was the energy that I was bringing. So that's what I do. I bring the energy, I bring the excitement, and I keep the kids' attention. And that's how you control, the class.
Great answer. Mr. Frazier.
Yeah, I agree with Ray said. Basically, you got to bring energy, and I think energy meets energy. If you bring a negative feel into the classroom, a lot of kids are probably gonna shy away. So you got to come in and you got to be exciting. You got to be inviting, and basically interact with the children. A lot of interaction. I deal with like I said, toddlers, 3-year-olds, 4-year-olds, even on up to the 12-year-olds. It's basically you giving off a positive energy. And I think that's really the secret sauce, because a lot of they see a lot of kids see a lot of things, and they're a sponge. So if they see negative energy, they're not gonna come to you as well. They're not gonna feel you as being as inviting. If they see a positive person is smiling, a person that doesn't always have a grin on their face, or just a brow, they're gonna go towards you more, and they're gonna get to know you better, not just be a person that's just up and down emotions. It's not gonna work. It's not. It really isn't.
Okay. Michael.
Well, let me preface this by saying I'd rather not be in the classroom. I'd rather be doing other things. That's my unique brilliance. But when I do have to go into the classroom, I think that just getting on the floor with them, they're just super excited when you are at their level and you are engaging with them and also allowing them to touch you. Like sometimes I have teachers that will come in and they don't want to get on the floor. Like, I don't want to be touched. I'm like, well, they're going to touch you. They're going to give you lots of hugs. They're going to want you to get on the floor, and they want you to be able to talk to them. So they also like when you talk to them, like ask them about their day. Just show interest. Someone said that it's super important, like attracts like. So when you're interested in them and you want to be around them, they know that. They know when people are not there for the right reasons. They might not know that phrase, but they can just feel it intuitively when someone is there to support them. And even if they don't know how, I mean, I've had teachers that have come in, young teachers that I've brought in, that they don't know what to do exactly, but they know just by engaging with the kids, like that is going to be a game changer for them and just really motivate them to follow the rules and follow the things that that you want them to do.
Great, great. Now these two. This question is geared toward Cleveland and Brian, and it's because it's more of an operational question, and it has something to do with I hate to say this, we're in this environment for some reason. People feel like harming children is just something that's happening. Is I hate that it's happening, but as administrators who work mostly on the administrative aspect or aspect of the business, what kind of security protocols do you think or have you implemented, or do you even have any security protocols or whatever implemented within your business to kind of prevent some of these acts that people are gearing toward and trying to harm children? Do you have anything that you've done special to put in place, or is just keep your eyes open, just basic stuff? So if you don't mind sharing.
Okay. Yeah. Basically, what we have done, we do have cameras in all the rooms, and we also uh, have access. If you don't have access to come into the building, you can't get into the building. And all the smaller, well, all the kids have a keyword. If they hear that keyword, they know to go uh, to the closet or to a rallying point where it is safe. So those are the three key things that we do have. So being able to observe what's going on within our center and outside our center makes a big difference for security and knowing who's around the building. So if they do see someone around the building that not supposed to be around, then they end up calling 911. So that way they can ensure that that person should be there or that person can be escorted from around the building.
All right, next gentleman.
Yeah, so
Say,
we, I'm sorry, am I next?
Yes.
Oh, sorry about that. I live in one of the safest states in the country, living in Maine, but we still have tight security, cameras in every classroom, and every parent has to have a key code to get in, and we do not let parents pass we have two sets of doors. They come in the first door and then they're locked in. They have to be a door open to let the child in. So parents doesn't have free access to our building. They have to be escorted in with security codes. All of our directors have panic button fobs under their shirt that they could call if they need to, and we've never had any problems. Not to say that it can't happen. Especially in a domestic violence situation. I think that's probably the situation that's going to happen the most. One parent coming and trying to take another parent with custody issues. We've had a few minor little custody battles, but nothing violent. But I think that's going to be the incident. So just make sure, guys, you have court orders are the secret. Don't release the child without court orders. And it's too bad we've come to this as a society that we have to lock our kids in classrooms and have teach kids how to have panic drills and intruder alerts and lockdowns. I mean, it's just too bad that kids have to have that early on, but today's society, I guess.
Great. Brian, what you spoke of is actually that the reason I asked that question is because of my very first incident. It's crazy. My first day working in the center, there was a custodial issue, and that did not feel good whatsoever because I know that this parent is the parent that dropped the child off, but this parent is coming at a time that is not normal for dismissal and wants the child. and it just threw us into a bad space within that center. Of course, we lost that child not because of what we did, but because the mother needed to go to a different location with that child. Um, I do have, I guess, one other question, and that is operational aspects of childcare, budgeting, budgeting. How often, or how often, or how early do you plan your operating budget, and uh, what are some of the things that you have identified as uh, hot points on your operating budget? For us, a hot point is the CFP food program. That's a hot point. That's something that we have to, constantly monitor and ensure that paperwork and everything is in place so that we don't, get fined. So, how often do you look at your operation budget? How early do you plan your operational budget for the next year or whatever? That question will go first to Cleveland, Brian, Michael, James.
Uh, well, for us, we do our operation budget at right at the end of the year, November, December timeframe. But just like you were saying, Todd, the hot point for us is teacher salary and ensuring that overtime is not there, because in order to get quality teachers now, we realize that you have to pay more than minimum wage or more than expected wage sometime in order to get quality people, because everyone coming in now thinking, hey, $15 is it, but then $15 may not get you a quality person into your center and to run it. So if in order to get quality teachers, you got to pay above the the minimum wage or more than the average in order to attract them to come into your program. So taking a look at the budget monthly, ensuring that the salaries still fall within line of what we plan to pay throughout the year. So just closely monitoring that to ensure that it does not get blown out of proportion there.
Yeah, so after doing this 25 years, I know what we're spending like the back of my hand. I do not budget anymore. We're debt free, don't have any debt. So I know exactly what my payroll is going to be based on what, the minimum wage adjusts to, because nobody gets minimum wage, but everybody adjusts based on the minimum wage adjustments every year. So I have a good feel for what your payroll percentage is going to be, and you adjust everything else accordingly, at least in my head mentally. So I know what I'm going to spend. And if a major expense comes along, you just you deal with it, and in my book Childcare Million, I wrote about living below your means, and also about building your business as debt free as possible. And those two things have fared me well. That I could have a major expense, and it's not going to affect me at all. I have good cash flow and plenty of reserves. That's another thing I talk about, is having cash reserves you could tap into during a recession and bad times, and refill during good times. But I just don't even look at a budget. We spend as we need to. But 15 years ago, I was to the penny when when we were just barely getting by, like a lot of centers do. So if you're new and you're just starting out, and money's tight, you need to budget every penny. But eventually you'll get to a point, if you have good financial practices, where you don't have to watch every penny, and you can pay your teachers a little bit more, and you can buy those things for the classrooms that maybe you couldn't afford early on. It'll get to that point, but you gotta pay the price early on, I guess.
So we start looking at the budget probably third quarter and fourth quarter for the following year. Our budget's pretty tight. I pretty much watch that closely, but like Brian said, like the pandemic was an amazing experience for us. We actually made more money than we ever had during the pandemic, because the state didn't know what they were going to do, and they just threw a boatload of money for us, and I was ready to come with my wheelbarrow and take that, right. And so And you know what? People were like, well, you made a lot of money. I said, well, all those years we didn't make money, so what? But so our budget's pretty tight in the aspect that we know what we're going to spend. Like Cleveland said, there's an increase in salaries, but I do think that that's linked to when you pay at a higher level than you expect at a higher level. And so, some of my admin, some of the people that do higher level things for me, they do make a decent amount of money, nowhere near what they should because they do amazing work and I wish I could fund them more. But they have to adhere to a lot of things because I asked them to do a lot of things. And so, yeah, that's the major point. And I'm always chasing money. We're a 501c3. And so I do about $50,000 to $75,000 worth of grant writing. And the largest grant that I just got was the last grant from the state of Ohio. We just under $1 million to open a center. So that's huge for us.
James.
Basically, we do it monthly. I started more, as I got some mentorship from another child care provider, started doing, see how they did it and how they broke it down on an Excel spreadsheet and did it yearly. Because I've previously seen over the years when my parents was doing it at their bigger facilities, all the issues that they were coming into as far as emergency funds, funds just in case this happens, just putting stuff in place, So I learned to on each time that I got a little extra funds just to throw it to the side. And just like Michael said also, during this pandemic, they threw a lot of money at daycares, in the area that I've never seen before. Even in New York currently right now, they're giving you money to start a daycare. They never did that in the years that I've been under my mother. Never experienced that. They're giving you money to start a daycare and also to expand your daycare for more hours or weekend care and all that stuff. So the money is coming, You just gotta, stick in there, and just basically Brian said also, just be tight for right now, you might be tight in the beginning, but as you put stuff away, you'll have that gap open up and you're able to take care of business and not being worrying about financial cash flow that much. And I'm also, like Michael said, I just started learning chasing different grants and funding and everything I can get because like I said, I do plan to expand in the future. So I have to start now knowing all these different things in order so when I expand, I'm able to do it.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. So, gentlemen, we have come to the top of the hour. We're very time conscious with the NCOA. I don't want to take more of your time than what we ask you to do. Um, if you are looking for, if you found this chat to be helpful, you can go onto the NCO's website. It's listed below. I'm going to give each participant an opportunity to provide their contact information. You can just state it, and hopefully it's someone you're writing it down if you want to reach out to these particular individuals. We're going to start first with James, Michael, Brian, and then end with Cleveland. James, if you want to share your contact info, you're welcome to do so.
You mean as far as the daycare or just,
websites, whatever, social media?
Yeah, well, I'm James Q. Frazier on social media. It says James Q. Frazier, GE. My daycare center is Tots to Teens. It's on Instagram and also on Facebook. And we're just, that's basically it.
Okay. Michael?
So Michael Ingram, and you can find me on Facebook, but you can also email me too. It's Michael, my first name, at bhdaycare.org. And I just want to remind everyone that, I was thinking about why men are important in early childhood, and it's like pizza, right? Some pizza is better than others, but it's all good, right? So give them that, right?
Great. Thanks, Mike. Brian?
Thanks, Mike. Now I'm hungry. Brian Dupre, childcaregenius.com, Childcare Genius on Facebook, and Brian at childcaregenius.com.
Mr. Howard.
And yes, we could be reached at Cleveland Howard at Sunshine Schools NC at gmail.com, or either Little Sunshine Academy gmail.com.
Again, gentlemen, I would like to thank you for participating in this June Child Care Chat. Trust me, it's going to go. It went over very well, and I know we're going to get a lot of positive feedback from it. So, leading men in child care, thank you, thank you, thank you. You all have a good day.